Let's make some veggie loaded salmon cakes. So good for meal prep. So we're going to start with some wild caught pink salmon, boneless, skinless. We have celery, onion, broccoli, mayo, mustard, eggs, and some grain-free flour. I really like the Safe Catch brand. You can also use canned salmon, but I like the little pouches because I think the flavor is better. So we're just going to cut our veggies and mix everything in a bowl. So I'm going to start by mincing up the celery. You want to make sure that you're getting into really small pieces. So cut them lengthwise 2 or 3 times. And then from there, do a fine chop. Because the bigger the chunks, the harder it is going to be for your cakes to stick together. So this isn't a recipe I have in my book or my blog. It's something we're just winging it. So after it's done, I will put the recipe in the caption. Not to worry. So I'm using 3 ribs of celery, and again, going for a pretty fine chop, like so. Next, I'm gonna cut up some broccoli, and I'm just using the florets, like just the tips. Don't worry, you can save the stalks for later. And this you're just going to keep chopping. Careful with your fingers, but just keep going, chopping everything together till it's nice and in small pieces. Because remember, the bigger the pieces, the harder it is going to be for your cake to stick together. So a nice fine chop, like so. Once everything's in small pieces, you're going to transfer it to a big mixing bowl. Next up, we're going to cut our onion. We don't need too much onion. Onions can sometimes make cakes like this watery, especially when you're adding them in raw. So again, I'm going to go with a fine chop. So just slicing it first, and then from there, just going in, scooping it up, chopping it again, scooping it up, chopping it again. Repeat until you have very small pieces. Onions literally always make me cry. I've tried every home remedy, but by this time I'm flying blind and it's kind of scary. That's why fingers always up. All right, once you got your onion chopped, add it to the bowl. Then we're going to add in an egg and all of our pouches. I'm using 5 pouches total. I will put the ounces in the written instructions below. And the cool thing about when you're making cakes like this, you just go by feel. So I ended up actually putting 4 eggs in the mix, and I'll tell you why. I switched from almond flour to this almond coconut blend because coconut tends to be a bit more absorbent and better for these kind of recipes. So salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some Italian herb seasoning as well. So look at me looking for I'm like, is there dill? Nope, no dill. All right, Italian herbs. So mixing it all together, and it's gonna have a pretty good consistency at this point, but I'm gonna feel like it's a little dry. And so salt, and I did put mustard in there as well, but it wasn't enough to make it wet. So I added another egg, and later off camera, I did add more eggs. But you want the mix to almost look like a tuna salad, just not as wet. And then you're gonna shape your cakes. And when you're shaping your cakes, like this first one still seemed a little dry. I did add another egg after this. And it's kind of falling apart. You're gonna know immediately. So that one, when I put it down, it kind of broke apart. So after this, I did add more eggs, and you'll see that these look a lot better. You see how wet they look? And when they flip, they should stay together. You still have to be careful flipping these. I use like 2 spatulas, but they cooked up beautifully, and they're so yummy and full of flavor. I served them with a dollop of Primal Kitchen mayo and some dehydrated carrot fries. And what a good, anti-inflammatory, super nutrient-dense lunch. I ate it at my desk, which I shouldn't do, but I had a meeting, and really good. Hope you love this recipe.